Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 430 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. Let's get into some DC updates. The first one is from Gitesh Panya, who I actually follow for all box office updates, has said this. Joker has now officially broken the $300 million mark at the domestic box office after 32 days of release. Monday gross is $1,170,000. Cumulative is $357,000. It's the first film of 2019 not connected to Disney or Marvel to cross $300 million. A final in the $330 million plus area seems likely. And of course, we've talked about it before. This movie is going to make $1 billion worldwide. Joker, a $55 million dark, serious take on a DC character, is going to make $1 billion without China. Let that sink in. Now we're talking about Martin Scorsese and his comments, and he put out a gigantic sizable article for the New York Times. He actually wrote it himself. And I'm not going to go through all that, but I do get what he's trying to say. How the entertainment business is starting to see the line between like art and entertainment, right? Big blockbuster films made by lots of people, and it doesn't really. It's really just to garner to the audience, to the general audience, which is there's nothing wrong with that because there's money to be made in that type of blockbuster, in that type of movie. He may not be a fan of it. And at one point, he was going to direct a Joker, but he decided he couldn't grasp taking a character into a comic book character, so he decided not to do it. Which is fine. That's his opinion. That's the type of movie he wants. Everybody's entitled to make the movie they want to make, and that's not the movie he wanted to make. He doesn't want to make any comic book movies. But he also kind of goes into the thing about how cinema to him is like movies that have characters that have risks, but basically like non-blockbuster type movies, movies that you would typically see now at the in film festivals, and now they're being slowly pushed out of cinemas, theaters, to like streaming services and stuff like that, right? And he kind of puts that fault to the theater, which I totally get the theater's point of view, because they are there to sell tickets. They're not there to show art. And maybe they'll throw one here or the other, in some screenings, like in some theaters here in Hawaii. I know certain theaters will show more independent artistic films, and some, but they do reserve like 2 or 3 giant screens, the bigger rooms, for like blockbuster films, because they're there to sell tickets. They know what the general audience wants to see. They just want to have a good time. They don't want it to be thoughtful and provoke, like those types of movies. And then so it kind of goes to the streaming service right away. So I totally understand this point of view. But I'm looking at Joker here, right? And I'm getting to the point. I'm looking at Joker here, and I think there is some type of middle ground where you could have a blockbuster film come together with an artistic of cinema, something that Martin Scorsese would have kind of enjoyed. And I think, for the most part, I don't know if he actually said that, but I think he would enjoy Joker because it is kind of like his kind of movie. It's thought-provoking. There's a lot of risk. It doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, and it goes into a direction that you cannot foresee. So I think Joker is a fine example of where art and entertainment kind of mixed together in order to make something very cinematic. And very few people can do this. I would like to say maybe Christopher Nolan could do this. This is my opinion. You might not agree with this, but like Zack Snyder, I think could actually do this. If they tend to watch Zack Snyder's thinking it's an all-out blockbuster film. It's a cool movie, but it has much more thought and lot more things to it. At least in my opinion, and opinion of many others, that there is more cinema in his film in terms of Martin Scorsese's definition of cinema in Zack Snyder's films than, say, like a Michael Bay film, right? So, not to degrade Michael Bay. I think Michael Bay does incredible action movies. He's there for the popcorn. He's there for the entertainment. But when your art is trying to say something, it has something deeper meaning to it, there's something there, then that becomes more cinema into the flavor of Martin Scorsese as he would like. I think Martin Scorsese could appreciate movies like that, that adds a little bit more to it if he can get past the comic book aspect of it. And so I like what Joker does. I like these type of films because it challenges you to think farther than other comic book films, right? It challenges you to appreciate it farther than it being just a comic book character, which I believe that's why how we approach like Batman v Superman, and some aspects of Man of Steel, although Man of Steel may be more blockbuster type compared to Batman v Superman, and that's why I really enjoy Batman v Superman, because it has a lot more to it than just a straight up versus fight comic book character versus a comic character fight. There's a lot more into that movie than meets the eye, I would say. So I think Martin Scorsese kind of has something there. I totally get what he's trying to say, and I think Joker seems like it's that happy medium, especially now when it's going to break $1 billion. This is the type of movie that I truly care for. I enjoy the blockbuster films. I truly do. I still like to go and have a good time in the theaters and just throw popcorn in my mouth and not think about the movie right after. But I also like something that you can totally connect with and try to think about it. A movie that stays with you, a movie that you can pull apart and wondering if my interpretation is the same as your interpretation. Those are awesome movies. Those are movies that I certainly is impactful to me and stays with me for a very long time. So I didn't mean to go off on all this whole subject, but I thought I should share that the whole just kind of capture the Martin Scorsese comments along with the comments of people talking about entertainment and art, and how Joker just kind of seems to me captures the medium of both. Within the Gotham universe, but on the other side, there is that little movie coming out called Matt Reeves' The Batman. Now, I think it's still going to be called The Batman, but Variety has now said that The Batman eyes Colin Farrell for Penguin and Andy Serkis for Alfred. This is the updated article by Justin Crow. Andy Serkis is in talks to play Alfred Pennyworth, Bruce Wayne's trustworthy butler in Matt Reeves' The Batman, sources tell Variety, while Colin Farrell is being eyed to play the famous Batman villain, the Penguin. Robert Pattinson is on board to play the title role. Zoe Kravitz will play Catwoman, and Paul Dano is set to play the Riddler. Warner Brothers, although, had no comment on the casting. Pre-production of the Warner Brothers DC Comics adaptation is expected to start this summer. No official start date has been set, although sources tell Variety that filming could start in late 2019 and early 2020. The Batman is scheduled to hit theaters in June 25th of 2021. Now, as in terms of these actors, these are phenomenal actors. Andy Serkis is a phenomenal actor. He's also a phenomenal motion capture actor. And also Colin Farrell is a great actor. He has certainly come up to great regards. He's done some method acting as well. At least I think so in certain aspects. Not all. Sometimes he cashes it in, but I think this is really good for these two people. Are they going to portray the characters well? I don't doubt it. I think they will. I think they will totally add something new to the character that they're trying to portray. I don't know what type of penguin that Matt Reeves has in mind for the Batman. It's certainly probably not like the Danny DeVito version or other versions. Maybe it might not be the Gotham version. It could be, Colin Farrell's own version. He is a different type of actor, I think, than Jonah Hill, which he had in mind. But I think Colin Farrell could really transform himself to anything that he wants, and I think he could probably do a good job. But we'll have to wait and see until when we finally see him in a trailer or a teaser or something like that. As far as Andy Serkis, that is, yeah. He seems like Alfred Pennyworth. I mean, I could name a few people, and Andy Serkis was probably one of them that could potentially play Alfred Pennyworth. And I have no problems at all. And I can't really have any problems with any person that is being cast for a role, because I don't know how they are until you actually see them on screen, and then if you buy them as that character. So we'll have to wait and see how these people will turn out to be those characters, right? So interesting that Colin Farrell is coming back, not coming back, but coming back into the comic book world as a DC character, as him and Ben Affleck both played a character in that Daredevil movie. He was Bullseye. Ben Affleck, of course, was Daredevil. And so it's kind of funny to see him as another villain in a Batman film, although it would have been poetic to see him the villain in a Ben Affleck Batman movie. I'm just saying. But other than that, that is Matt Reeves the Batman. Probably the biggest story today for Batman fans everywhere. Now, there is one not so good news, but hopefully it's still a little bit hope for The Flash. Now, I don't know if you've seen, I'm not really a Fantastic Beasts fan or a Harry Potter fan, but looks like Warner Brothers is, and they're putting a lot more money into making more sequels for Fantastic Beasts. In fact, they're pushing Fantastic Beasts 3 forward. Fantastic Beasts 3 starts filming in spring of 2020. So that means that The Flash is probably not going to film spring of 2020, right? Now, it's going to be a long production, and so we don't know. He may not even film in late 2020 as well, if Ezra Miller is still the Flash. And for all intents and purposes, I think Ezra Miller is still the Flash, and they have not said anything about the Flash since Andy Muschietti commented about the Flash after the end of It Chapter 2. So it still could possibly happen, but for now, it looks like Warner Brothers pushing ahead with Fantastic Beasts 3 rather than the Flash. This comment is from Mark Hughes. Fantastic Beasts 3 starts filming spring 2020, so Flash can't start filming in early 2020. Fall or winter of 2020 is the earliest Flash could get started. If the script and everything for Flash are ready, and if Ezra Miller et al. Can jump right into another long production quickly after, Fantastic Beasts 3. So I would think I'll probably propose that maybe that's exactly what's going to happen. The Flash is going to get started in fall or winter of 2020, or maybe 2021 at that point. We'll probably not get a Flash movie until 2022, which is a little bit more delayed than we expected. Although, as movies starts going faster and faster now, we're expected to probably have 2 or 3 DC movies a year. How Marvel's going to have 4 movies a year, so it's going to be pretty clustered with a comic book films, to Martin Scorsese's dismay. But we'll see what happens, and I hope the Flash doesn't get delayed more. I hope the Flash is not, delayed further, kind of like how other movies like The Crow gets delayed to nothingness. I hope it does get more moving along, better than like the Gambit movie. That will never happen. So I hope the Flash keeps on moving along. I hope they can get something to work together. Maybe, possibly, perhaps Ezra Miller's character in Fantastic Beasts 3 is not that much. And then maybe with that aspect in mind, he could potentially do the Flash movie. Or worst case scenario, well, the worst case scenario is there's no Flash movie. The next worst case scenario is Ezra Miller's not Flash because of conflicts with the Fantastic Beast franchise, right? Which they're planning to do like 5. Wow, wow, 5 movies. Why can't we get 5 Superman movies? So anyway, that is not the update you're hoping for the Flash, but it is a update nonetheless. Now, let's get into a little bit of the Snyder Cut, because Jay Oliva is back on Twitter, guys, and he is slaying. This is incredible stuff, okay? There was one guy, he is, a bit of a following, kind of just, gave us a little snide about the Snyder Cut, and he said this. Insane Ian says, watching #release the Snyder Cut fanboys lose their S when I tell them no such thing exists as they flood the comments of a Watchmen tweet by Warner Brothers has brought me singular joy tonight. Snyder was let go before filming was complete, and there's no way they'll release a new cut of a bomb. Now, we're constantly fighting this narrative, right? We're constantly fighting the no such thing exists narrative, and it's crazy, and it doesn't matter what people say. They'll come out and say those people are lying, like they're saying Zack Snyder's lying, they're saying Jason Momoa's lying, they may even say Jay Oliva's lying, but Jay Oliva's not going to have it, okay? He came out swinging. He says this: "Hi, Ian. Unfortunately, I gotta let you know that you are pretty dead wrong about your statements. Number 1, the cut exists. Number 2, Zack was on the movie months after principal wrapped. I was there on set for as the very last shot, and as far as I could tell, Zack was still directing. I know that Zack was still the director because right after that last shot, I met with him to go over reshoots for Wonder Woman. Sorry to break it to you, Ian, but your joy was based on ignorance. Next time, I'd suggest knowing your subject more before you make fun of a group of people who want something that you clearly are not a fan of. You are just setting yourself up to look dumb." Oh, Jay is awesome. So he's out here to slay, and we welcome back into the fray. No, didn't think that would actually rhyme. But yeah, I'm so happy he's back and trolling the trolls who thinks this cut doesn't exist. And it's just crazy why that narrative is still going on. But things are turning around. We're getting a lot more articles, a lot of large headlines from media sites. Nothing like Hollywood Reporter, Variety yet, which I wish they would. But they haven't said anything yet. But clearly turned some heads around, including the folks over at Collider Video. They've seen Jason Momoa has seen the Snyder Cut, and the new hostess, which took over from Christian Harloff, Roxy Strier, and her co-host Dorina, I think that's her name is. They talked about the Snyder Cut quite a bit. But here's a snippet from their video yesterday.
Very happy.
Say it, Momoa.
Does it feel like a totally different movie than the Justice League that was released?
Oh, man.
Wow. It's just, it's crazy how far out we are with people still talking about the Snyder Cut, and Junkie XL saying that, and now Momoa and Snyder.
Zack Snyder himself.
Snyder dropping every single day on that Vero thing.
Yep.
New images and things that were shot. I mean, I feel like at this point, with HBO Max being announced, that we are going to get a Snyder Cut.
Pretty good call.
On the service.
I really hope you're right. That would be great.
I hope so.
Because I'm surprised it's taken this long, because we got, we have a Watchmen director's cut.
Mm-hmm.
We had a BVS Ultimate Edition that came out shortly after, which I love much more because I had issues with the theatrical release of BVS, and the Ultimate Edition made me actually really like the movie.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
Man of Steel was on yesterday. It's so great.
I know it is.
That's what I was thinking too. So yes or no from each of you guys? Josh, are we gonna see the Snyder Cut?
Yes.
Riley?
God, I hope so. Yes, I think ultimately yes.
Serena?
I really hope so, because I didn't hate Justice League like everyone did.
Me neither.
I think it's not a great movie, but there's great moments in it. I think that I loved...
Thank you.
I think Ezra Miller as Flash was very enjoyable.
He was great.
And I love that scene where Superman comes back to life and he's
That's the only good scene in the movie.
I don't like Ezra Miller.
I love that
it was
scene too.
amazing.
But
I love the end credit scene where they're about to compete and see who's faster. Like those,
Spoiler.
the Justice League moments for me were really great. And I'm sure the Snyder Cut is much better.
Oh, you think the Snyder Cut is
Of course.
better?
Yeah, because unlike a lot of people, I like Snyder movies.
Cody, are we going to see the Snyder Cut?
I don't care. Alex?
Alex?
Yeah, I
Cody
think
on
so.
that.
I like your call about the HBO Max thing, Roxy.
I will
I
say
hope.
that I, for a year solid, said, I hope we don't ever see the Snyder Cut. But now that the Snyder Cut release, the Snyder Cut people are so relentless, I hope they can get it.
Yeah.
Just give it to
They,
them now.
they've turned it into something, though. I know they get proceeds and they give
Charity,
it to
all the
Zack
great
Snyder's
stuff they
charity
do.
and for suicide prevention. And I think that's really good. I think
Yes.
at one point, what we were railing against is that we were getting bombarded. And there were a lot of you that came at us and was like, "Ah, rah, rah," and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Toxicity.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then now that there's this kind of this level-headed
My
thinking, is
nerds.
kind of my nerds.
Yeah.
Where once I heard it from Snyder, because I was out there going, I don't think there is one, and then when I heard him say there is, I'm like, wait a minute. And now all these people are saying, like, there is one. Okay, we can change our opinion based on facts coming at us, right? That
Right.
this is out there. Now it's up to Warner Brothers.
And
Yeah.
I think Roxy's right that would actually be a good idea to put it up for streaming, because maybe Warner Brothers isn't interested going forward because a lot of the cast of the Justice League is changing, right? And so maybe they don't want to release it in theaters, but if they release it streaming, I think a lot of people, that would be very successful.
I think so too.
I think
I'm
tons
curious.
of people would sign up for HBO
course.
Max
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, for sure. And they need that leg up.
Yeah,
they
they
could
do.
use that. I'm curious what you guys at home think.
So you see there, Roxy is fully on board. Dorina's fully on board. I took out the bits because it was kind of long-winded about their, they were having discussion about Man of Steel, and they were still kind of on the fence. At least two parties were on the fence. The other two were not on the fence, and they love Man of Steel. But Mark Riley, Dorina, Makuga, some dude, Alex, Roxy, and not Cody, but they were all for the Snyder Cut. They all think that the public needs to see it now. They're fully on board. They believe it, and it's done and everything. And I think that is a great push into the YouTube world for other bloggers to see, perhaps, and maybe report on it as well and talk about it as well, and maybe just gives just a little bit more pressure for Warner Brothers to respond, to do something about it. They have, and like they said, they have a platform that they could easily. This is not the first time that we've heard that they could potentially use HBO Max to get this cut out. It's just the most logical sense for that matter, right? Now, we all know that we want it in theaters, and they could still do a limited edition in theaters. And if it ever comes out, I'm going to ask McD how to arrange a theater showing in my own hometown. I don't know how he does it, who he connects with, but I might just do that. That's an awesome thing to do. Maybe just get some people in Hawaii to watch the Snyder Cut. I was able to actually, a friend of mine, actually, a local friend of mine, actually messaged me and saying, is the Snyder Cut real? Does that exist? And he wanted to know more. And I was like, wow, someone in the local community called out and says, I want to know more. And I was like, that was great. That's great. We're actually it's kind of just spreading in a great way. And I think I'll probably end with this, that I think we should stick with this narrative that the Snyder Cut is done. The Snyder Cut exists. Let's just keep pushing this, right? Keep pushing what Jason Momoa said. Keep pushing what Zack Snyder has said. Keep pushing this and just disregard everything else, because this is the message that's going to get people turning their heads. This is the message that will get people coming around and saying, well, what are we waiting for? What are we waiting for, Warner Bros.? This is the message that will will increase the pressure at Warner Brothers, and is increasing the pressure at Warner Brothers. This is the message. Zack Snyder's Justice League cut is done. It exists and it's ready to go. Warner Brothers, you're putting money on the table. Please help us release the Snyder Cut of Justice League. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. I want to thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.